Imagine this for a moment. One of the most powerful men in the Nazi regime flies alone into enemy territory. In the midst of war, a Nazi secret police chief simply disappears without a trace. An emperor responsible for devastating military decisions is never tried for war crimes. And persistent rumors even speak of a secret Nazi nuclear test months before the end of the war. Even after decades of investigations, declassified documents, and thousands of historical studies, some of the greatest mysteries of World War II remain unanswered. And in this video, you will learn about some of the most intriguing enigmas of modern history. On the night of May 10th, 1941, something extraordinary happened in the skies over Europe. A German plane silently crossed the North Sea towards Scotland. The pilot was alone. Hours later, out of fuel, he parachuted out and landed in a Scottish farmland. When locals found the wounded man, he introduced himself as a simple German officer, but soon the truth came to light. That pilot was no ordinary soldier. It was Rudolf Hess, one of Hitler's closest men and deputy leader of the Nazi Party. His presence on British soil caused immediate shock. Why would one of the leaders of the Third Reich risk his own life flying alone? According to Hess himself, he was on a secret peace mission. His objective was to convince British leaders to negotiate an agreement. He believed that certain figures in the British aristocracy were willing to end the war. The final destination of his mission was the residence of the Duke of Hamilton, a Scottish aristocrat whom Hess believed to be a possible mediator. But the plan failed. The Duke immediately informed the British government, and Winston Churchill rejected any negotiation. Hess was arrested, and the Nazi regime declared that he had suffered a mental breakdown. But historians still debate, did Hitler really not know about the mission? Or was it all part of a secret attempt to negotiate before the invasion of the Soviet Union? To this day, the true reason for the flight remains one of the greatest mysteries of the war. When Berlin fell in May 1945, many Nazi leaders tried to flee or committed suicide, but one of them simply disappeared. Heinrich Müller, the head of the Gestapo. Müller was one of the most feared men in the regime. He controlled interrogations, political prisons, and repression operations throughout occupied Europe. Unlike other Nazi leaders, he avoided public appearances. His power lay behind the scenes. The last time he was seen was in Hitler's bunker in the final days of the war. Witnesses remember a phrase he uttered, "I will not be captured by the Russians." After that, he disappeared. No body was ever found. No reliable records have surfaced. For decades, various theories have emerged. Some believe Müller died during the battle for Berlin. Others suggest he was captured by the Soviet Union and secretly taken to Moscow. There are even hypotheses that he was recruited by intelligence services during the early Cold War. But to this day, no one knows for sure what happened to the head of the Gestapo. Another historical debate involves the Japanese Emperor. During World War II, he was considered a divine figure in Japan. His name was Hirohito. Under his reign, Japan conducted a brutal military campaign across Asia. Massacres, human experimentation, and chemical weapons marked the conflict. One of the best-known episodes was the Nanjing Massacre, where hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians were killed. For decades, many believed the emperor was merely a symbolic figure without real power, but documents revealed later showed something different. Hirohito closely monitored military decisions. In kamikazes, he directly approved operations of the Japanese army. Despite this, after the war, he was never tried for war crimes. The United States decided to keep the emperor on the throne to avoid political instability in occupied Japan. Thus, while generals and military leaders were convicted, the emperor remained in power. During the North African campaign, German troops and SS units confiscated large quantities of gold and jewels. Much of this loot came from Jewish communities in Tunisia. When German defeat became inevitable in 1943, officers attempted to transport the treasure to Europe. According to later accounts, crates containing gold and precious stones were loaded onto ships bound for Italy. But during the withdrawal, something happened. Some witnesses claimed that the Germans threw the treasure into the Mediterranean Sea to prevent it from being captured by the Allies. Other versions say that the ship was attacked and sank. Decades later, divers and treasure hunters have tried to locate the supposed shipment. None have found definitive proof. Perhaps the most controversial mystery involves the German nuclear program. Germany possessed some of the world's most brilliant scientists. Among them was Werner Heisenberg. The Nazi regime attempted to develop nuclear technology for military use, but the Allies believed the Germans were far from building an atomic bomb. However, some accounts claim that in 1945, in the final months of the war, a secret test took place. Witnesses said they saw an intense flash followed by a shockwave. Some residents reported symptoms similar to radiation exposure. These accounts lead some to suggest a nuclear device was tested, but most historians remain skeptical. Documents captured after the war indicate that Germany did not have enough nuclear material. World War II ended almost 8 decades ago, but some of its episodes remain shrouded in mystery. The unexplained flight of Rudolf Hess, the disappearance of the Gestapo chief, the true role of the Japanese emperor, lost Nazi treasures, and possible secret weapons. The history of war is not just made up of battles and treaties, it is also marked by secrets and hidden decisions. And perhaps that is precisely what keeps these events so fascinating to this day.